Previously on Midnight Confessions with Ava. I took calls from all over London, pretended I was just your calm, late-night radio girl, and then one voice slipped through the lines and changed everything. He called himself Midnight. He knew how I tap my pen when I am thinking. He knew I always say goodnight to my nan on Sundays. And then he told me he had seen me that morning on the Jubilee line in my red scarf. I found his secret message later in my bed. Discovered he had been in Studio 3, 2 doors down from my own studio, listening from inside the same building. The next night, I shared a lift with a man whose voice felt wrong in all the right ways. Midnight called again live, admitted he was in my building, and told me that by the 5th night he did not want to be a voice on the line anymore. He wanted to be in the room. When I got home, there was a massive bouquet of red roses waiting at my door with a note, for the girl in the red scarf. And I did the stupid thing. I used the station system to send him my real number. A little while later, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Red suits you, but I think you look even better surrounded by roses. And I knew Midnight was no longer just in my headphones. He was in my hallway and in my phone. This is night 3, and this is what happened when I kept answering him. I wake up to the smell of roses, heavy and sweet, pressing in from every corner of my room. For a second, I do not remember why my room looks like the inside of a florist. Then my eyes find the card on my bedside table, and it all comes back. Studio 3, the lift, his voice, his text. My phone is face down next to the card, screen still, and my heart jumps stupidly before I even touch it, like it is some kind of animal that might bite. I flip it over, and there they are, his messages from the middle of the night, stacked above the one I fell asleep on. "Did you actually sleep?" he wrote at 4:09, "or did you lie there, replaying my messages and counting roses instead of sheep?" At 4:32, another one. "For the record, I have never sent anyone that many flowers before. You are already bad for my judgment." I stare at the screen for a moment, thumb hovering, brain whispering that I should ignore him, that I should roll over and reset, pretend this was all a late-night glitch. Instead, I tap out. I slept a bit. The room smells insane. The roses are ridiculous. You know that, right? I hesitate, then add, "Thank you." I hit send before I can polish it, toss the phone onto the duvet and drag myself out of bed, stepping around vases and jugs full of red petals like little landmines of bad decisions. The whole day goes by in a blur of lectures, notes, and highlighters, but none of it sticks properly because every time my pen pauses over the page, my brain fills the gap with his voice instead of whatever the lecturer is saying. My phone buzzes in my pocket between classes, and my heart jumps even when it turns out to be nothing to do with him, a uni email, an offer, some spam, when it is actually him, just once in the afternoon. The effect is even worse. "Try not to fall asleep in class," his text says. "You sounded tired last night, and I need you awake tonight." I type back, "Bossy," then delete it, then type, "I have work, remember? You are technically part of my job," and send that instead. He replies a few minutes later, "I am the part of your job you choose, Ava." And that sits in my chest like a stone for hours. By the time evening starts creeping in, I have given up trying to pretend he is not in my head, and I am just counting down to the part of the day that actually feels like mine. The walk into the station, the red light, the phones. The air outside bites at my cheeks as I head in, scarf wrapped around my neck, bag thumping against my hip, and every step feels like it is taking me closer to something I should probably turn away from, and absolutely will not. The lobby is quiet when I swipe in, the day shows are done, most of the staff gone, the kind of hush that settles over buildings that are meant to be a little too loud. I take the lift up alone this time, no stranger at my side, no jolting shoulder brush, just my own reflection in the dull metal, eyes a little too bright for how exhausted I am. On the way to my own studio, I walk past the door to Studio 3, and I feel it like a small gravitational pull at my side, a reminder that there is a whole other version of tonight tucked behind that door. I force myself to keep walking, telling myself I am working, that Studio 3 is not mine, that midnight is not the only person who uses it, that I am being ridiculous. Inside my studio, I drop my bag, hang my scarf on the back of the chair, and start my routine. Headphones on, levels checked, show notes open in front of me, even though I barely look at them. I pull my phone out and, being practical for once, open the Uber app to pre-book a ride for after the show, the sensible way, so I am not standing alone outside at 3 in the morning. I set it to pick me up just after we are due off air. Type in the station entrance, hit confirm, watch the little message pop up. Your driver will arrive around 3:15. See, I tell myself, you have built-in limits now. You are getting in that car. You are going home. You are not staying to play games in Studio 3. Stephen gives me the usual countdown through the glass. 3, 2, 1, and the red on-air light snaps on like it is delighted to see me. Good night, troublemakers, I purr into the mic because you expect that now. It is Midnight Confessions. I am Ava, and you have officially made it to night 3 of my ongoing bad decisions. I take a couple of soft callers to start, easy ones, someone giggling about a crush in their building, someone complaining about their situationship texting only after midnight. Familiar ground that lets me get my voice settled without thinking too hard. I am halfway through telling one guy to stop sending "you up" messages to someone who clearly does not deserve him, when my private phone buzzes in my lap, the vibration a little shock against my thigh. I finish the sentence I am on, wrap the call, throw us to a track for a minute, and only then let myself glance down at the screen. It is him, of course it is him. When you are done tonight, the message says, do not go straight home. My heart does a weird jump and my fingers instinctively flick to the Uber app, where my scheduled ride sits there innocently counting down, driver assigned, little car icon ready to approach the station at the end of the show. Another text slides in over the top. Studio 3, he writes, come alone. I swallow, throat dry, and tuck the phone under the edge of the console, like hiding it is going to hide my reaction from myself. We are back, I tell the listeners, voice just a touch softer now. And apparently some of you are still awake enough to cause trouble, so let us keep going. I do the rest of the hour on that strange edge, half of me in the calls, half in the texts sitting unread, feeling my phone like a second pulse. I do not answer him, I do not mention Studio 3, I just get through the conversations, give advice, play songs, pretend that the choice has not already been made somewhere inside me. By the time it is nearly the end of the show, my Uber notification flashes up across the top of the screen. Your driver is on the way. That is all from me tonight, I tell you, when the last caller hangs up. This has been Midnight Confessions. I am Ava. Please try not to do anything I would do. Good night. I hit the button, the red light goes off, my headphones go slack around my neck, and for a second the silence rings in my ears louder than the calls did. As I stand, my phone vibrates again. Do not keep me waiting, Ava, his text says. I am only 2 doors away. My Uber app pops up over it. Your driver will arrive in 3 minutes. As if to remind me I had a sensible plan 30 minutes ago. I grab my bag, shove my phone in my hand, and walk out of the studio, heart hammering too fast for the hour. The corridor is dim and familiar, carpet worn in the middle, emergency lights humming, the station at that weird in-between where it feels like a set after everyone has gone home. Straight ahead is the lift and the way out, behind that the cold air and the waiting car, my safe route home. To my left, halfway down, the small, unassuming door with the little plaque that says Studio 3. I stand there for a second, weight shifting from one foot to the other, and every rule I wrote for him scrolls through my head like credits. Then I turn left. My hand is shaking just a little when I wrap it around the Studio 3 handle, but the door gives easily under my fingers, unlocked, light spilling out in a soft rectangle onto the corridor carpet. I push it open and step inside. The room is smaller than my studio, but it feels different, intimate, less cluttered, the kind of space people use when they want to be away from everything else. He is standing by the console, back half turned until the door clicks shut behind me, and then he turns fully to face me. He is taller than I built him in my head. Not ridiculous, just enough that I have to tilt my chin up to meet his eyes properly. And he is wearing a dark suit that fits too well to be an accident. Jacket open, white shirt loosened at the collar. The first thing that really hits me though is the smell. A bitter, manly perfume, something sharp and warm at the same time, like spice and clean skin and a hint of smoke, wrapping around me before he even steps closer. His jaw is defined, a little stubble shading it, his hair messy in that deliberate way people pretend is unintentional, and his eyes are exactly what I dreaded and wanted. Steady, amused, far too observant. "Hi," I say, because my brain has apparently decided that one syllable is all I am capable of. "Hi," he echoes, mouth curling. "You made it." "You said 2 doors away," I reply, trying to sound like this is nothing, like I walk into strange men's studios every night. "It felt rude not to check you were real." He laughs, quietly, a low sound that feels too loud in the small room. "You tell strangers to be brave all night," he says. "I wanted to see if you believed any of your own speeches." My phone buzzes in my hand and I glance down. Uber telling me, "Your driver has arrived." Little car icon parked outside the station. Countdown beginning. I lock the screen and slip the phone into my bag so I do not have to look at it. "You smell like roses," he says suddenly, stepping a little closer, nose crinkling in a way that is unfairly attractive. And studio air. And coffee. It is very specific. "You smell like trouble," I shoot back, because it is easier than telling him the perfume is already making my head swim. What is that? Definitely a bad idea by someone expensive? He smiles properly at that, slow and genuine, and the room feels smaller again. "So this is you," I say, letting my eyes flick down his body and back up in one quick assessing sweep. Suit, open collar, strong hands resting lightly on the edge of the console, veins visible. "Disappointed?" he asks calmly, "or relieved?" "I plead the fifth," I mutter, then roll my eyes at myself. Wrong country, sorry, I am not disappointed. That earns me another quiet laugh, and he pushes off the console, taking another few steps until there is very little space left to hide in. "So," he says softly, voice back in that register I recognize from the phone. "Off air, no callers, no red light. What do you want to know, Ava?" My mind goes blank for a second, then floods with questions. Who are you? How old? What do you do when you are not in my corridors? Why me? Why now? Why does the way you stand make my skin feel too tight? "Why roses?" I blurt, because that is the one that feels safe enough to say out loud. "Because I could not send you a bouquet of train carriages and studio doors," he answers without missing a beat. "And because you looked like you needed something soft after a long night." My chest tightens at that, stupidly, and I look away for a moment, letting my eyes trace the dials and sliders on the board, instead of dealing with his face. "You have been listening for a long time," I say quietly, not quite a question. "Since your first proper week on the show," he admits, not sounding ashamed, "you were trying very hard to sound like this was all easy back then. It was cute." "You were eavesdropping before I even knew you existed," I point out, trying to regain some ground. "You put yourself in people's bedrooms on purpose, Ava," he murmurs. "I just happen to be one of them." That should make me roll my eyes, should make me push back, comment on boundaries and parasocial nonsense. But the way he says it, quiet, almost fond, knocks the fight out of me a bit. My bag vibrates at my side. A reminder that there is a driver outside expecting me to act like a normal person who finishes work and goes home. I do not move. I should go. I hear myself say weakly. My ride is waiting. He can wait a minute, Midnight replies, eyes on mine, and there is a tiny flicker at the corner of his mouth, like he knows exactly how unreasonable and tempting that sounds. He takes another step, and now there is almost no space at all between us, just a thin strip of charged air and my own self-control. I can see the flecks in his irises from here, the tiny scar at his hairline, the way his lips part just a little when he is thinking of what to say next. The perfume is stronger at this distance, bitter and warm and undeniably male, wrapping around me in a way that makes it very hard to remember any of the sensible speeches I give other people. Heat rolls off him, that quiet human warmth you do not get through headphones, turning the inches between us into something that feels far less innocent than the lack of actual touch would suggest. This is different, he says softly, and I can feel his breath on my cheek. You sound like yourself in here. I always sound like myself, I protest, though it comes out thinner than I would like. You sound like a version of yourself that knows she is being heard, he counters quietly. Right now you sound like the one who thought no one was watching when she laughed in the corridor. My heart is beating so hard I am scared he can hear it, even without a mic between us. His hand lifts as if he is going to touch my jaw, fingers hovering for a moment so close I could lean forward a fraction and feel his skin against mine, but he does not close the distance. We just stand there, breathing the same air, faces a breath apart, my back almost touching the desk behind me, his body in front. The room suddenly too full of everything unsaid. In the middle of that suspended second, my bag buzzes again, insistent this time, the outside world shoving its way into Studio 3. I drag my gaze away from his and fumble for my phone, with fingers that do not feel like they belong to me. The screen lights up in my hand, Uber notification at the top in bright, unforgiving letters. Your trip has been cancelled.